Here is a framework of a solar door pitch that has the opportunity to make you hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. I've been in the solar space for the last 7 years, and I've heard many pitches over the last few years. And what I realized is that every successful pitch has a framework, a blueprint engraved in it. I've heard many people say different things, but I have recognized that there are 6 components that make a great door pitch, all right? The first one is they address break-in preoccupation. In other words, they recognize that the 5 seconds before the doors and the 5 seconds after the door opens are very, very crucial. We have to remember that when we knock on someone's door, they were doing something. They're preoccupied mentally or physically with something else. That may mean that they were working, maybe they were taking care of their kids, maybe they were watching TV, right? Very rarely will you knock on the door and someone's like, oh, I'm just waiting for someone to come knock on my door. No, they're doing something. So we have to take their minds off of that mentally so that they can focus on the reason that we are there. Some of the best ways to break preoccupation is using an authoritative tone, right? If you just walk up to the door and are super nice and hey, how are you? Most of the time, people will interpret that as a door-to-door person trying to sell me water, cookies, encyclopedias, whatever, right? And you will usually not be able to retain them for the next 5 seconds, right? So using a tone of authority, right? One that says, hey, I'm here for a purpose, right? That usually captures people's attentions. Think of a police officer. When a police officer shows up, right, they show up with authority, right? They don't show up like being apologetic that they're there. They show up with authority. So that's one. Another one is an assumptive statement, right? I love to use first names, okay? I have access to figure out who lives in that home. So if I know a John Soriano lives there, I'll say, hey, how you doing? I'm just looking for John, is he around? Boom, assumptive statement, right? That will draw people in because then they'll say to themselves, okay, this person is supposed to be here because how else would he know my name, right? Or how else would he know X, Y, and Z? Or really another one that, I think is awesome is using comedy, okay? If you can find some way to make people laugh in the first few seconds, that is really great. That will take down their walls because the whole purpose of breaking preoccupation is to get their minds away from what they were doing, right? So it needs to be novel. In other words, it needs to be something new. It needs to hook them. It needs to capture their attention. If you're just showing up to the doors and saying, hey, how you doing? My name is John. I work for a company X, Y, and Z. Let me tell you why I'm here. Not interested. Close the door, right? That's not hooking them, okay? It needs to be something that captures their intrigue and makes them want to listen to you more because you will literally have a few seconds, maybe 1 second to capture their attention. So you better make sure that your first few seconds are very dialed in because it does not matter how great the rest is. If you don't have a good hook right when they open the door, you're not gonna be able to talk to as many people as you want, all right? The second thing that you have to do is create a desire to learn, okay? Create a desire to learn. You need to address the question, why are you here and what's in it for me? People always want to know what's in it for them, right? We as humans, we are self-interested, okay? And that's fine. That's how we're wired. We're wired for self-preservation. So they are asking themselves, okay, well, what's in it for me if I keep listening to you, right? Whether it's you give me something that I need or whatever, right? What's in it for them, okay? You have to remember a couple of really important, the Department of Energy did a data, and actually Forbes also did a survey where they asked people, what is the main reason that you wanna go solar, okay? Guess what the number one reason was? It wasn't about the environment, okay? It wasn't about the company or the panels or even the sales rep, okay? The number one reason across all markets that people wanted to go solar was to save money. That's it, save money. So address that early on. Hey, the reason I'm here is to save you money. Now, whether you're in a market that they can save them money day one or in the years to come, same thing, right? Hey, whether it's like, hey, lock in your rates now and save as rates continue to go up, or if you're in a market where you can see day one savings, great, talk about that. So in the pitch, you should be addressing early on what is in it for them. Okay, for them, not for you. People are not interested in how awesome you are and how great your product is. They're interested in what's in it for them, okay? So make sure that you create a desire to listen, and you do that by addressing the question of what's in it for them, okay? So people should know right off the bat, hey, it doesn't cost them anything to go solar. Okay, because in that same survey I mentioned, they also surveyed people and they asked them, hey, what's the number one reason, or what are the reasons that you have not gone solar? And the number one reason was because they don't have the upfront cost to go solar. Now, if you're watching this video, you know that it doesn't cost anything upfront to go solar nowadays, right? Whether they do a PPA, there's no money out of pocket. If they do a finance, there's no down payment required, right? Anybody can go solar now as long as they meet the criteria with no money out of pocket. In other words, they don't have to spend anything up front to go solar, right? They just switch how they pay for their energy. So you need to address that, hey, it doesn't cost you anything. If you can address those two things, that hey, it doesn't cost you anything up front, okay? And then also you can see savings day one or down the road, people will be more interested in hearing you out, all right? So that's number two. The third one is problem solution. You need to tell a story and what the problem is. People buy when they know that this product or service solves the problem that they have. Think about why you buy food. You buy food because it solves the problem of hunger. Think about why you buy a car. You buy the car because it solves the problem of walking around. Think about why you fly instead of drive, because it solves the problem of a 10-hour car drive that could be done in 2 hours, right? Think about why you pay for rent, because it solves the problem of not having a roof over your head. Everything we buy is because it solves some kind of problem. Whether you're aware of that problem or not is irrelevant, but you need to make your consumer aware of the problem. What I've discovered is most people don't know how they're currently being billed or how the infrastructure is set up, because that's the problem. The problem is the grid. The problem is the infrastructure. It actually isn't even so much the utility. It's the infrastructure. It's the fact that people have to sometimes spend a lot of money just to ship the power to their homes because of the way it's hooked up, right? 99% of people don't have a power plant in their backyard as to where the power is being generated. So a lot of the costs associated with energy is transportation and distribution. So that is the problem. If you can make people aware of that, if you can make people aware of the problem, then when you bring in the solution, solar, it makes more sense, right? Because now you say things like, well, hey, now you're generating your own power on your roof. And because of that, that's why solar makes much more sense economically, because you're producing your own power, right? So you have to make sure that people understand the problem first before you bring in the solution. I'll leave you with this. Think of this. Think if you have a cut on, let's say you don't feel pain, but you have a cut on your leg, right? You don't feel it, you're gushing out blood. If a friend of yours comes and says, hey man, here's the Band-Aid, but you don't yet know there's a problem, you're gonna take that solution, the Band-Aid, and be like, okay, cool. And then go about your day and be like, okay, I don't know why you gave me a Band-Aid. But if your friend instead took the time to say, hey, look down, you're bleeding, and you are aware that you now have a problem, then he gives you the Band-Aid. Now that Band-Aid has more value, right? So make sure that you talk about the problem, then the solution. What sometimes people do is they talk only solution. Solar, 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 save money, save money, save money. And people are like, dude, I don't need this. They do need it, but they don't know it because they're not aware that a problem even exists. The fourth one, qualify, pull back, okay? Pulling back is such a great way to generate even more interested, okay? A great transitional line, once you talked about, you know, the basic elements of what they can get from this, is just say, hey, listen, I'm not here to get a yes or no. Hey, listen, I'm not here to get a yes or no. What this does is this relieves them. They're like, okay, oh, thank God. I thought you were gonna like try to sign me up for something literally right now. Hey, I'm not here to get a yes or no. Because the truth is, you don't yet know if they qualify for your solar program, right? So, hey, I'm not here to get yes or no. My job today is just to see even if you qualify. I don't even know if you qualify yet. Remember this, people always want something that they can't have. There's a reason why not everyone drives a Porsche or a Lamborghini or Tesla, Model S, whatever, right? There's a reason not everyone drives it, because not everybody can get it. Promise you, if all of a sudden everyone could afford a Lamborghini, the people that drive Lamborghinis now, all of a sudden wouldn't want them, because everyone likes to have something they can't have. So use that to your advantage in the doors, right? Talk about, hey, not everyone qualifies for this, right? Which is true, okay? Because you don't know about their roof yet, you don't know about their main panel, you don't know about their credit score, you don't know about their usage, right? You don't yet, at that moment, you really don't know if they qualify yet. So use that to your advantage. Do a pullback, okay? Let them know, hey, listen, I don't know yet if I can even give you this. I hope I can. So use that to your advantage, okay? I like to overuse the word qualify. I'll say the word qualified 10 times in 30 seconds. Hey, Mr. Homeowner, yeah, I don't know yet if you qualify. My job is to see if you qualify. I really hope you qualify. The truth is, some homes don't qualify for this program, but my job is to see if yours does qualify. I just used it like 7 times. So overuse it. People should just simply feel that, hey, this is something that I want, right? Because everyone likes something that they can't have, all right? The fifth one from there is set a solid appointment with proper expectations. Because after this point, right, you just say, hey, I'm not here to get yes or no. My job is just to see if you qualify. You know, what I do is I look at your usage, whatever you want to say on there. And then from there, right, you assume the appointment. And one of the best questions that someone can ask you actually before you even get to this point is, if you do the qualify part correctly, if they hit you with a, okay, so how do I qualify? What do I gotta do? That is a great indicator that they are in the market now, because they're asking buying questions, which that's a great one. Now, when they say that, don't start to get all giddy and excited, right? Be cool, calm, and collective. Remember, a professional salesperson stays cool, calm, and collective even when someone is asking buying questions, right? Because no one wants to work with a needy or a desperate salesperson, all right? So go back to the fifth one. Set a solid appointment with proper expectations. I've seen too often reps, they get this far, they create interest, but because they didn't set proper expectations when they actually go there for the close, now whether you're same daying it, meaning you're coming back in an hour or you're coming back the next day, you know, first of all, I would always say you should not be scheduling appointments more than 2 days out, okay? Because the chances of it actually sitting are a lot lower if it's more than 2 days out. You should always strive for under 24 hours if possible, but max 48 hours, all right? You wanna make sure you're setting proper expectations. So what is that, okay? Number one, get the utility bill, all right? Get it, you're there, all right? Getting the utility bill is the only way I've discovered where someone has, where I can see if someone has true, genuine interest. Because too often people will tell you what you want them to hear, what they think you want to hear, because they're too afraid to tell you no. So they'll go along with it, they'll set the appointment, and you walk away thinking like, yes, I got this appointment, I'm excited. You show up, they ghost you. I've realized that people are afraid of confrontation. People are afraid to say the word no to salespeople. So they go along with it, but in their minds, they're like, oh, I'm just not gonna show up, because they're too beta to tell you no. All right, and I wish I could say, I wish everyone could be more honest and, hey, if you're not interested, great, just tell me you're not interested, right? So I can go meet with someone who is. But I've discovered most people aren't willing to do that. And the only metric of seeing true, genuine interest is, do they get you the bill? If you made it this far and they're giving you a little bit of resistance, oh, I don't know where it's at. Oh, well, my wife does it, right? If someone truly is interested, they will do the action required to be able to see the value that you can provide them. Remember, the value you bring always needs to be greater than the action you're asking of them, right? Because if you're asking them to go get the bill, but they're not bringing it to you, that shows me that you have not yet provided enough value to this consumer. If I ask you right now, if I say, hey man, I got 50 bucks for you, do you wanna go get it? You go, yeah, I wanna get $50. And I say, okay, awesome. You gotta drive from coast to coast to go get it. Do you still want it? Of course you don't. But if then I say, hey man, I got $1 million for you. Do you want it? You say, yeah, I want $1 million. But then I say, okay, cool. Well, hey, you gotta drive from coast to coast to go get it. Do you still want it? You're gonna say, heck yeah, I'm still gonna go do it. What's the difference? The action is the same. The value is different, right? You don't believe driving coast to coast is worth $50, but you probably believe driving coast to coast is worth $1 million, right? So remember that. If someone doesn't get you the bill, that shows that potentially that you have not provided enough value. When it comes to setting a solid appointment, you wanna make sure you get the bill, okay, the full bill. All right, get a phone number, get an email, okay? Confirmation of other decision makers, not just the spouse, although I'll say the majority of the time it's just the spouse. But for example, if you're working in a Hispanic community, sometimes the grandma makes decisions, believe it or not. Sometimes, yeah, you maybe talk to the wife and the husband, but the grandma lives there and she actually has a say. Sometimes in those cultures, usually they value the wisdom of the parents, okay? So make sure that all decision makers are there Okay, and here's another one. Make sure you know what time you're coming back and how long. If you set an expectation that it's gonna take 10 minutes, but you come back and it's gonna take really 30, 45, an hour to do this, they're like, dude, you told me 10 minutes and now you lose trust. So set the proper expectations so that way you set yourself up for success, or you set up your closer, right? If you're out there closing or setting appointments, so that way you set up your closer for success as well. Number 6, let there be a cool down period. Cool down period. Don't just get the bill, the appointment, and say, all right, I'll see you later, bye. Leave on a personal note, not a business one. Leave on a personal one. Remember this, that at the end of the day, the number one thing you are selling is yourself, okay? People buy you. People buy you. Jordan Belfort talks about the 3 10s, right? Meaning that if someone wants to rate you from a 0 to 10 on these 3 things, you should rate number 10. Okay, that's product, your product or service, your company, and yourself. And I've discovered that yourself is the most important. Okay, I've seen people who maybe the product or service and then the company was like maybe 6 out of 10, but themselves was a 10 out of 10, and they still bought. People will never forget how you made them feel. All right, so leave on a personal note, right? You know, recap the main points of the program that you're offering, okay? Because people won't remember what you said in the beginning, but you want to leave with them knowing that, hey, this is a no cost, this is a no money out of pocket program, okay? If that's what you're pitching. Maybe talk about the warranties, talk about how, hey, this can save you money day one, okay, if you're in a market that can do that. Or if you're in a market where it's a bill swap, maybe talk about, hey, this is you taking control of your power. But just simply let there be a cool down period for 3 minutes where you just simply recap the main points and you leave on a personal note, right? Whether it's, hey, you talk about their car for a little bit, or hey, you got any plans this weekend, right? Leave on a personal note, okay? Don't just leave on a strictly business note, because you want their last impression of you when you leave is to be a good one, right? Not a business one, okay? So that is the 6 steps of a framework of a successful solar door pitch. I discovered that you can insert whatever you want to say in there, but every door pitch should have those 6 things. If you do it, I promise you this will make you hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars.